So just about time to start our yoga practice. I'm glad that you have some time to do this and we can do it together. I'm not using any props today, but that said, doesn't mean you can't have any. Maybe I'll pull a blanket or a pillow off the sofa or off the mantle and use that. But if you need some strap or blocks or something, please accommodate yourself. So happy St. Patrick's Day for those of us who have a little bit of Irish heritage. So we celebrate that today, maybe in one form or another, green cookies or green tea, maybe green tea. So our practice today will be one of opening our heart, opening our shoulders, opening our hips, so a little bit of everything. We'll also do a flow. The flow will include the traditional chaturangas. We'll do some standing balance where we abduct and adduct, open and close our leg and work on the balance. My sense is that we don't usually tip over, like fall prevention, by standing still, like a tree pose, that mostly it's when we're moving. And so that will address that component. So welcome to my home. Got the fireplace going. It's a bit chilly this morning. Let's come to Namaste. You can sit in a chair. You can sit on a mat. Let me see if I can drop this down a little bit more so you can see. There you go. Or I might sit up on the mantle. I see the doctor today for my knee, so it's doing pretty good, but I don't want to tweak it anymore. All right, so with all that said, we come to the moment. We come to sit, could sit on a blanket, could sit on a pillow, could sit on your knees if you'd rather. Okay. Oh, it's nice to work on carpet some days. So you can sit with your ankles crossed. That doesn't work for everybody. So however it is that you choose to sit, be mindful in the rest of your body. So we know Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor energy, is very useful in supporting us, standing or seated, kind of roots us. The action of Uddiyana, that zipper motion in, drawing in of the belly, the lifting of the spine rather than the sinking down in response to gravitational pull. You can hold on to those knees. I think they give a little bit of support. And maybe if you lean back, it kind of acts as one of those sling chairs. Crown of the head lifting towards sky, or if you prefer, the palms up in a mudra gesture. So you come to the moment, knowing there are distractions. Life is one big distraction. So we come to just spend a little time with ourselves, hopefully to strengthen, to balance, to stretch, to more importantly pay attention and in the presence of our breath. As you're sitting here, attentive to that breath, also notice if there's any issues going on with your body that maybe you forgot about until you still yourself. And as we become more still, it could be a low back, a knee, a hip, a shoulder, neck. Maybe you slept on your neck poorly. So we bring that into our awareness. We don't feel like we have to push through things. Yoga should come and meet you where you are. You're welcome to always take it further if you're having a day that allows you to do a little bit more. Waiting is always an option. So we come to this place within ourselves, a place where there's self-acceptance because there's no need for judgment. Of course, we want to look to be a better version of ourselves, but we move into that with ease and grace. Maybe tighten a little more on the exhalation. Finding that breath and body working together rather than just abstractly on its own. Fluttering the eyes open, we're going to begin with a little circle. I call it the sit and spin. So as you lean to the side, Lean forward, lean to the other side, and lean back. Just notice how things feel through your spine. And now when you change the direction, for those sitting like me in Sukhasana, change the orientation of your legs and then go the other way. So we always want to not necessarily judge, but assess how our body moves on one side versus the other. We look symmetrical. We don't usually perform symmetrically. So one side circling may just feel a little odd or different. And returning center, drawing up through the spine, supporting through the belly, and stretching the arms to the sides of the space. Turn the palms up, join the palms together. As the hands draw into your heart, you cultivate that attitude of gratitude. And then go ahead and put those hands behind you. So this is our first expression of opening our heart. I'm on the tips of my finger. It's as if there were a string on my heart, and it lifts my heart, just a little bit of extension. And yes, you can pull those shoulders back. You can look out, you can look upward, you can look skyward. And just take a few moments of breath here. And then when you release and round forward and let the head drop. And when I look down, I always remind my belly to tuck in. Go again to elongate your spine, lift up the heart, draw the shoulders back, and round over. So do that a few times. I'm just going to pop over and see that my heater is still turned on. So sometimes it's set back. Nope, it's good. I know I'm sitting in front of a fireplace, but the rest of the space is open and can be chilly. And it's always nice to have a little warmer environment. Opening and closing. Opening and closing. And coming to open, but not all the way up. So just come and sit nice and tall. Let the arms open to the side. Now this is a rotation, and because we're sitting, it's going to be different than when we do it standing. But notice the similarities. So as you keep space in your vertebra, anytime we twist, always best to attend to the spine first. And then you can just gently turn to one direction, and it may not be very far, as if you were holding a stick, so one arm doesn't move forward or back from the other. They just stay as they are. So you take that real mindful rotation. And if this feels a bit much, go ahead and put your backhand down. Give yourself some support if you need that. Every breath in lifts us up. Every breath out turns us a wee bit more. And return center and relax the arms. Notice the work through the back, the opening through the chest. And yes, we will be using the word a wee a lot today. A wee bit here and a wee bit there seems appropriate. So once again, through the spine and with the use of our bandhas, lift nice and tall. When you sit like this, can I draw your awareness to the work that your core is doing just to sit? Keeping space in the spine, keeping those arms relative to one another, now begin that rotation. So it's not how quickly or how far you go, it's the mindfulness in which you make the journey. And return back center. This time let's put the hands behind us, do a little bit more for the lower body as I sit with my feet in front and my legs together. Remember, the inner edges of the feet can stay together. They can slide by one another, whatever feels appropriate. Try not to be the turtle in the shell, be the turtle out of the shell. So I'm going to let my knees fall to one side. So I'm moving pretty slowly. I know that. Feel free to go ahead of me. I just want to see how things are doing. Personally, I get in trouble when I go too far, too fast, too soon. So once I know I've got this range of motion, I can work through it at a better pace or a little faster pace. For some, you may feel this more in the front of your shoulder, for some, the hips, for some, the back. Presence of breath, of course. And then from this, we move to the Bandha Konasana. And for some people, sitting on a blanket or a pillow or even a block is really good. So I've got my hands behind, and because of that, my knees fall out pretty far. And no comparison, your knees can be here and that's okay. But again, I lift my heart rather than sink into the spine, and then move up onto my fingertips as I kind of rock my pelvis. If you're in a blanket, you may not feel so much, but we have in our pelvis these sit bones, these bony protrusions. So you want to feel that you're more on top of them than you are rolled back towards your tailbone, which is where I think we usually are. So I'm up here with the support with my hands. I've really taken the pressure off my low back. Do you feel that? Now, as we move the hands to the ankle or shins, it may be best for you to do one arm at a time, because your core is really going to have to fire up to prevent you from rolling back. So if you slowly and mindfully start taking your hands off and you feel this happening, the better option might be leave one hand down, move the other hand so you can maintain that upright position. Every day it could be a little different, so make your own approach. So now I have a neutral or natural spine. I'm holding on to my ankles, my chest is lifted, my bandhas are engaged. I'm going to hinge forward and come back. So you'll see my elbows bending as I bring my heart forward, and then my elbows straighten, and that's as far back as I ought go. If you were to see this from the side, a profile view would give you the reminder that I'm not doing this, that I'm doing this. It doesn't matter how far forward you go, you get to be you. Now, I trust that once you go forward from here, your low back is protected. Look down towards your toes and consider letting yourself round. I know it's still early in the practice, so you may just go a little bit, or you may go a wee bit more. So just go forward, feel that spine gently stretching, attentive to your breath. Rolling your spine up, staying in that hip region. We're going to stay seated. And again, you could be on a blanket or pillow, but you may feel like you have to shift off, so it's okay to do that. Let's do, as you mirror me, your left foot coming forward, and you may be on the short end of the mat, I'm on the long end of the mat, but you want your left leg shin alongside that. Then you shift off onto your hip, and we're going to put this right knee at the heel of the left foot. So I'm leaning off here. I know it's hard to tell with the dark pants, but there is a little space under this right hip right now. And so I'm easily on the inside of the right leg, on the outside of the right leg. And then use my hand and maybe my fingers and see if I can bring myself up and where you go. For some people, they'll sit on that bum, and some others, there'll be a little space there. So lifting nice and tall and using that hand to support you. If you don't need the hand, I think I'm going to keep using it. I'm feeling a lot of work going on in here. But if you don't need the hand, you can put them at prayer. So I'm going to use this hand so I don't fall over, but I stay up. And just let my body find this hip position here. And nothing should hurt. It might be a little uncomfortable, and if you need to back out of it, that's okay. If you're staying here comfortably, that's great. So now I'm going to lean myself forward a little bit and put one hand behind the left leg on the floor, and the left hand outside the left leg and lean forward. We have done this, but not for a while. And so think about this one. What will happen is the back knee, your right knee, is going to push down into the mat, and the left knee in front is going to lift up. So right knee, the one behind you, pushing down into the mat. That's why you're leaning forward on the hands, so you can kind of get that downward. But then this knee in front of you is lifting up. And I'm leaning forward. This is isometric contraction, so you need to breathe. If you don't want to be on your palms, you can be up on your knuckles. Just shift your weight forward into your hands. Really press down with the knee and then up with the other knee. As you release from that, we're going to switch it now. So that back knee is going to try and lift. It won't go up that high. And the front knee will ground. So you're going to feel that front knee press down while the back knee comes up. And once again, you lean forward on the hands. Think, 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 a little thinking. So back knee up, front knee down. And you breathe. Kind of weird, I agree. A lot of work going on in your hip as it sorts out the push and pull. Now as you return center and return back to that upright position, kind of notice it still may be a little tight for some of us, but maybe this is a little more available to you and maybe you try it. Maybe you say, yeah, no, not today. So you keep that hand down. So leaning off to one side, drag the top leg up, and then we'll set up on the other side. So as I guide you into the right shin, aligning to the edge of the mat, whichever side of the mat you're on, and the left knee finding its place behind the right heel. I'm on the instep of the back foot, my toes pointing off that way, toes of the front foot actively this way. Leaning off to the side, my bum is off the mat on the left bum. And then I work myself up and see if this is different. It could be really different. So I'm not being weird, I'm just putting my hand to monitor how much space I may have under this side. This is more than the other side. Again, if you feel your core can manage your hands here without pain, you can be here, but try not to lean. Stay upright. If you need that support, so maybe I'll just stay here, you're just going to give your body a chance to suss out, well, how is this working out? Abundance and breath. And if this is easy for you, boy, that's a blessing, right? For those of us who find it a little more restrictive or difficult, we just work through it. Now as I bring my left hand behind my right leg in front, and my right hand comes forward so that I shift my weight onto my hands, the back knee, also known as your left knee, will drive down into the mat. The front knee will try and lift off the mat as you breathe. So back knee down, front knee up, and you breathe. As you relax out of it for a moment, and again, if the palms don't work, you can be on the knuckles, that's fine. Lift up nice and tall. Now this next one, the front knee will drive down and the back knee will rise up. So shift your weight onto your hands, drive down the front knee, lift up the back leg. I feel this in a little to the knee, and I'll report that to my doctor today. Remember to breathe. Breath, breath, breath. And as I release, gently come back up and see how to, oh gosh, I can do this, and it's really less uncomfortable, still uncomfortable, but less uncomfortable. If you need that support, just stay there and kind of notice that we have strengthened a little bit through our hip joints by using our thigh bone. Okay, on to all fours. So if you need a little padding under your knees, you can provide that for yourself. So I got the carpet today, I'm much better. You can pull the mat back if you've got a towel or a blanket. And if you don't want anything, just scoot it off to the side. We come to all fours, palms or knuckles, hands under the shoulders, knees under your hips. So I'm going to turn my bendy toes under. I'll be going up into some little downward dogs in a moment. If you're going to be on your palms, look to spread the fingers so that your middle finger is reaching up and your thumb out, making an L shape. This displaces the weight of your body into your hands so they don't just push on the wrist. I usually gaze to the front edge of the mat rather than down below. Check in with your bandhas, Mula Bandha, Action of Uddiyana. Shoulders are anchored. So I'm going to lift the knees very slowly, just lift them up. And then keeping the knees bent, I'm going to push or drive my hips backward, looking toward my toes. Arms are straight, knees are bent. Coming back forward, over my hands, my shoulders go, knees gently lower softly to the mat. We'll repeat this a few times. On the breath in, lift up your knees. On the breath out, push back, keep the knees bent, straighten the elbows. On the breath in, transfer forward. On the breath out, lower the knees down. We are moving slowly with intention. Lift the knees, pushing back, coming forward, lowering down. Watch your necks. Twice more. Lift the knees, pushing back, coming forward, lowering down. Last time. And down. So let's go to the bendy toes. We'll get off our hands. Let's see if my knees can do this. I did squat in the yard a little bit yesterday, so let me take my time. You go where you need to. So our intention, if we could, would be to sit our bum onto our heels with the toes folded under. That doesn't work for a variety of reasons. So if my knee was still really swollen, I wouldn't be able to bend like this. I would have to go here, but have my toes under. I'm going to move to a standing position. If you put your hands and your heart together, you'll be less likely to want to use them. Now you may need to use them, so if you need to use them, use them. But as you come up, see if you can put one foot forward and then move to that standing position, and then we'll face one another. You can be anywhere on your mat. I'm already getting a little bit warm. You can be anywhere on the mat, the front edge, or I'm just going to face you from this. So when we were seated, we did that rotation, and it was easier because our pelvis was more stabilized. Now we have to take a little more ownership because our feet are going to wobble around and our hips will kind of wobble around. So when we come from Tadasana, open the arms. I'm going to show you the let's not do it this way version. Let's not do this way. My knees are bent, my body, my arms are just twisted around. I'm going to try and anchor my lower body so that my ribs float around and my legs stay facing you. So that's my intention, but we'll see what the awareness brings to us. I've placed my feet for Tadasana. Notice that you can put the feet together if you'd rather. Root into all parts of the feet. Engage the inner thighs. For some, that's a movement in. For some, it's a pushing out. Mula Bandha, Action of Uddiyana. Lift the spine. Fingers actively reach to the earth so that my shoulders aren't hiked up. And I breathe. Foundation of so many of our poses. It's not a throwaway, this Tadasana. On your inhale, stretch the arms to the sides of your space, just like we did when we were seated. To make it a little more comfortable for your shoulders, turn the palms forward so that your thumbs are pointing up. Ribs lifting, space in your spine. Slowly begin turning, it won't matter which way. Now remember, you're holding a stick, so those arms cannot vary. And you float your ribs around, and you see how this feels maybe a little different, similar, but I haven't let my hips go. The arm going behind you is reaching behind you. The arm in front is reaching in front. And you're just gazing naturally out in the direction that your body is pointing to. Returning back center and lowering. And this plays into our theme of opening. So the arm going back is going to be that opening. Root into the feet. Settle into Tadasana, breath in, the arms go up, I've got my thumbs up, reaching out, shoulders down, and then go ahead and carry on as you begin that rotation. Hold the hips still, maybe think of me holding them for you. Reach through the fingertips. Find your breath. It's a little difficult to breathe in rotation, I agree. And return back center. And then this time I'm going to put the hands on the hips and widen my stance. And then I'll do my little hula. So earlier when we were seated, we moved the torso around in the pelvis. Now I'm holding my torso still and I'm moving my pelvis around. Makes my back feel better. Let's go the other way. Besides, who doesn't like the hula aloha spirit? Okay, so I'm going to take my feet even a little bit wider, and so if you're at the short end of the mat, that's fine. You're not going to be on the mat. If you feel you need to turn the mat and look like me, you can. So my feet will go a little wider, and my toes will rotate slightly out. Objective is that when my knees bend, they go in the direction of my toes. So I wouldn't let my knees fall in or really force them too far out. Mula bandha, mula bandha, mula bandha. Inhale, arms reach. So to the right side we bend. And as I return back center, both arms are going to reach for the sky into star pose. As I exhale, bending the left knee, lowering the arms, tracking the knee. Kinesthetically, I don't have to look at it to see it happen. I kind of feel whether it's buckling in or staying proper. Coming back to that star pose. And then pressing down firmly with the arms. Bandhas and bandhas, and breath. Once more each way. And bringing that energy into my shoulders. So turning my toes forward, parallel feet, hands go behind. Now you can grab the hands or you can lace the fingers, and then those elbows likely are going to be bent. So once you have the hands in whatever form, see if you can straighten the elbows and lift up the chest. This artificially moves your shoulders back. So when I had them here, my shoulders were kind of where they normally are. As I straightened the elbows, my shoulders went back. They pinched together in my back. Imagine the string on your heart with those arms coming off your back. Lift that heart a little bit. It's not a big back bend, it's just a little extension of your spine. Hands are up off your backside, and you breathe. When you release, this is not weird, put your hands right where your glutes connect into your thighs, so just at the bottom of your bum. I want you to feel what happens at that connection as you begin to lean forward, putting the weight more in your toes. So we say, lead with the heart, zip your zipper, and keep feeling. And you're going to go far enough as you lean into your toes, and then at some point you should feel some gripping of some muscles in that backside area. Then from there, go ahead and slide the hands around onto your knees. We know this is the bookshelf pose. My legs are straight, leaning into my toes. I've gripped through my hamstrings, and I feel that spreading of my sit bones. Bending into the right knee, both hands coming onto the right knee, and a little opening into my inner thigh. Toes are all going forward, we're parallel. Bandha some breath. Moving over to the other side. Some of you might be able to do this with the hands on the floor. Over to the other side. So you're feeling adductors, which is that balance thing that we're going to go to next. So you should feel from your pelvis down to your knee, a gentle stretching in that thigh area. Up and over other side, chin up, belly in, sink the hips. And come back center, bring yourself up. One more time, clasp or lace the fingers, straighten the elbows, lift up the heart from the side. Would look like I did this. Should feel good. When I release my arms, I'll walk my feet together. I want you to notice how you feel. Do you feel like that well-rounded individual? Probably not. Probably feel a little more open and fluffy is the way I describe it. So now we're going to do our balance work, standing on your left foot. So if we were just to do, say, a tree pose or something, yeah, there's a bit of balance that goes on with it, but more functionally out in everyday life, you're not usually standing still on one foot. Except for me, I do that when I'm standing. I'll just stand on one foot, try and work on my balance all the time. We're usually moving, and then we lose our balance. So that's what this one actually addresses. Moving in life and finding our balance. So let's stand on your left foot. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana action. Stretch the arms out to the side. As you root down on the left foot, open out your right leg, toes on the floor. So to learn the move, let's stay grounded for the moment. Toe is down, arms are out. You're going to raise your left arm as the right arm lowers, and you see this diagonal line from the high end through the body to your leg. Lift, 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 and breathe, breathe, breathe. The next move is to cross your right leg over your left leg, keeping it straight, so it may not go very far, and switch the arms so that the right arm is up and the left arm is down, and the body has not turned. Remember when we were working on rotation, we kept the hip still, so there's that. And maybe a real sense of squeezing between the inner thigh. This foot is on the floor that I've crossed over. So on the breath in, I'll open this way, and on the breath out, I'll touch this way. Now, as we continue, you could consider floating the leg to the side on the inhale, squeezing and floating the right foot around in front of you. Inhale to open. Exhale to close. Feel free to go a little faster or slower, being as mindful. Don't worry if you fall out of it, it happens. Next time the leg opens to the side, pause, stay there, and close the posture. Now likely the foot you've been standing on is going, whew! Yeah, so there's a lot of work in just stabilizing ourselves. And it's not just the foot, it's the entire leg. It's just working to hold our balance. So while we're grounded down, I want you to feel lifting up as well. Well, let's see how the other leg goes. Root down onto the right foot. Abduct your left leg, toe on the floor. As the arms go to the side, the right arm will continue up as the left arm lowers, creating that diagonal line. So rather than sinking, we've worked to open ourselves, so let's just keep that consciousness. On the exhale, that left foot will cross over, the arms will switch from high to low and low to high. There's a sense of squeezing here, and carefully your hips haven't turned. Let's just keep those hips pointing forward. So you can keep using the floor as you inhale and lift, exhale and cross. Or you could work into floating and challenging yourself. Remember, we don't have to be doing this at the exact same time. One more, opening the leg to the side. We'll pause there with arms in the side and that, ta-da, and close the posture. Assess the similarities and differences. And let's do that little hula, because that's a lot of work out of the sacrum to stabilize this imbalance. Then we're going to work from the end of our mat. So if you need to move your mat to keep yourself looking at your device, you can do that. So we'll go through a traditional sun salutation flow. Options are for the chaturanga, which is the push-up part of the sun salutation. Elbows are in. You lower the chest and the hips at the same time, be it from the knees or from the toes. And remember to challenge and cultivate our upper body strength, my weak side too. When I come up, I lift my hips first rather than let them go behind. I can lift my chest up fine. The hard part is lifting the lower torso. So I kind of elevate my hips, keep them up, and then push up, be it from the knees or from the toes. Can use your knuckles if you want, can forego the push-up if you'd rather. So we step to the end of the mat, do your Tadasana. Breath in, the arms will lift. Breath out, we bend the knees and touch the earth. Breath in, we drop the hips and lift the chest and look outward. Breath out, the right foot steps back onto the ball of the foot, ground into your feet. Breath in, you stand up with your arms in front. Feel free to use that front leg. The back leg squeezes straight as you open into your hip flexor. Breath out, you go back down, touch the earth. Drop your right heel, those toes go diagonal, keep the front knee bent. Again, if you need that front leg to help you rise up safely, again, you come up, Virabhadrasana 1. That means my chest and hips are going forward as I've come to a warrior stance. Breath out, I go down. Breath in, I come up, the left arm will go forward, the right arm goes behind, or the front arm over the front leg, as the back arm reaches over the back leg, warrior 2. Coming back down, flipping my back heel up, stepping back into a plank position, loading into all fours, be it on the toes, be it on the knees, keeping the chin up. Recognizing the challenge, spreading the weight through the hands. From the knees, from the toes, elbows in, down we go. Relax your toes. Up we go. That could be baby cobra, cobra. You can do up dog. Coming on down. Toes under, hips up from knees or from toes. Keep your hips up, press off the mat and into the downward dog. So I adjust my feet forward. You can make that first dog a bent knee. You can straighten the legs. If you walk, walk slowly. Raise both your heels, bend your knees and look forward. You can walk, you can step, you can jump to where your hands are. As you bend the knees, laying the body on your thighs, putting your hands on or around your calves, keeping the body connected to the thighs as you move into forward fold. Bending both knees, releasing the arms, being mindful blood pressure can be affected. Make sure you're not going to fall over. And bring the hands into the heart. Pause and breathe. You can stay as you are. And for demonstrations, I'm going to the other side. Inhale, the arms lift. Exhale, bend the knees, touch the earth. Drop the hips, look forward, breathe in. So you do your left leg back into a low lunge. Now, if you already did this on the other side, you keep track of your legs. So we're doing everything on the other side we just did. Ground into the feet as you rise up. Back leg is straight into the crescent pose. Exhale, touch down softly. Drop the left heel, toes on that diagonal. Ground the feet. Rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Feet stay the same, you lower down. As you rise up, the foot that's in front, that arm stays in front. The foot that's behind, that arm turns the body as you gaze forward, Virabhadrasana 2. Windmill the arms, the back heel comes up. You step into a plank position. Again, knees or toes, chin up, belly in, all that good stuff. From knees, from toes, lower the torso, down together. Relax the feet. Baby cobra, cobra, up dog as you wish. Elbows in as you come down. Toes under, hips up, knees or toes. Press off the mat into downward dog. Raise the heels when you breathe in, bend the knees, look forward, walk, step, or jump your feet to where your hands are. Keeping the body on the thighs, hands behind the calves, bow over, attempt to straighten the legs. Getting better. Release the hands, check your blood pressure as you rise up. Join the palms overhead and bring the hands into the heart. So once more with a little variation. Inhale, the arms will lift for sky. Exhale, bend the knees and touch the earth by the feet. Drop the hips and lift the chest. So I'm stepping back with the right foot, but you can go back with whichever foot that you want. Drop the heel. Move the front hand of the front leg inside. So my shoulder is against my knee. This may not be where you can be. You may need to come up with elbow on the knee. But if you can be here, and then release the outside arm away from you and up. Keeping that knee bent because there's a tendency to want to straighten it. This is not triangle pose. Come up to warrior 2, into exalted warrior. Bend the front knee, track it well. Down to chaturanga or wait. Moving into your downward dog, whatever fashion can get you there. Feet are not together or apart, they're just right. Raise your heels, bend your knees, look forward, walk, step, or jump to the front of the mat. Drop hips, fold behind, Uttanasana. Bend the knees, release the arms, all the way up. And hands into the heart. And we do the other side. Are you tracking your sides? Breath in, the arms lift. Bend over, we fold. Drop hips, lift chest, we breathe in. Other foot drops back. Drop the left heel. Move the hand of the front leg inside. You can keep it on the floor, shoulder likely to be around the knee, so the knee is not behind it. And then slowly open the other arm up. If that feels like that's just a bit much, come up with your elbow on your thigh. Either way. So again, our theme today, open, open. Through warrior two, as you stand up right into exalted warrior, commit to the lunge. Windmill the arms to your chaturanga, or you can wait, go right ahead to downward dog if you'd rather. Raise your heels when you breathe in, bend the knees, look forward, walk step, or jump to your hands. Lay the body on thighs, bind behind. Now see if you can get a little closer. Bend the knees, release, and rise all the way up. Hands at your heart. How are you? So we're going to go a little more into the shoulders and the hips. We're going to do traditional Gomukhasana. I'll probably want to sit on my blanket for this, and you might likely want a strap or a hand towel, because this is this one. The hand goes back, and then we have our legs crossed. I'll get you to it in a stepwise fashion. So I don't have a strap. I don't think I even have a towel in here, but I have my little case. So this could be an arm extender, right? It's just a thing. And that way when I put my hands back, if my hands don't come together, at least I can have the connection through an arm extender. So without using your hands, see if you can access the floor. Okay, that's good. And then I'm just going to leave this here. So we'll start with the legs. So Gomukhasana can be a little tricky, and so you may need to forego the legs for whatever reason, knees or hips or back. So we do this in opposition. So if I bend the right knee in and the left foot back on the outside of my blanket, and then I pick up my left foot and cross it over, leaning over to the side, moving that foot so that when I sit back up, my knees are relatively stacked. Some people, and this is helpful to sit on a blanket, some people, now I'm on the edge of my mat, so my feet are on the same edge. I don't have one foot back or one foot forward. And I'm kind of slumped down here, but when I sit myself up, my hips kind of speak to me. If you have the left leg in front, it'll be the right hand that goes to your shoulder as I mirror you. If you're not doing the legs, that's okay. You can maybe take that top leg and move it in front of you and work from there. The legs are not crossed, you just have that left leg more in front of you. Maybe that's a better beginning for you. Otherwise, I will go back. So you know, Gomukhasana actually means cow face pose. So these are the cow's lips, moo, 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 moo. These are the cow's lips, and then up above our arms will be the cow's ears. So I'm sitting as tall as possible. Ascertain whether you think this is manageable. And then if you say, oh, I know my hands don't quite come together for this one. So if you are going to use something and say you have a yoga strap, be sure you hold the buckle in your hand so you don't throw it over your back and hit yourself with it. If you have a towel, you just hold one end, and I'm showing with this little sap. So I put the right hand up, not elbow to the side. I use the other hand to kind of help align it so it's adjacent to my face. So my hand's sliding back. So I either have the hand back there or the hand is holding on to something. The left hand reaches out with the thumb down, palm facing back. As I bend the elbow, there's a little space under my arm, but I'm going to fill that by moving my elbow and arm to the upper body. Now I reach over and either find my hand or the strap or towel, and then as I can, I walk my hand up that strap or towel so that one day I can just grab my hand to the other hand. You're going to feel a big opening in the anterior of that left shoulder. Sit very, very tall, and if this is enough discomfort, you can stay here. But if you wanted a little more, we generally lean forward a bit. And we breathe. So as I said, the arms are the ears of the cow, so the right elbow up is the ear up and the other elbow is the ear down. It's got one ear up and one ear down. If you lean forward, slowly bring yourself up. The hand that's on the low side, slowly release, comes out. High hand comes down, either with or without whatever it has. And now I'm going to change legs. I don't know if that's a good thing to do with my knee, but I'll go really slow. You can either change the legs and I'll help you get set up, or pardon my backside as I lean over to the right side, come up onto my feet, spin myself around, and sit back down. And now I'm on the other side. But if you didn't figure that one out, it's a parlor trick. So you're going to take the left leg on the bottom, foot over to the edge, top leg lean over so you can cross the leg over and push that foot over yonder. So both my feet are on the edge of the mat, and my knees, as best they can, are stacked. I'm a little rounded over, but as I sit myself up, my hips then begin to talk to me. And because it's the right leg in front, I'm now going to be putting the right hand down. So if you're using an object, you put it into the hand, drape it over your shoulder, position the elbow, and then help by getting the hand up. Oh, and I heard from a few of you last week's practice that you did feel your triceps. So the elbow goes up, right hand to the side, thumb down, bend the elbow, slide in, reach over, grab what you can, and if you don't need anything, if the hands come together, cool. And feel free to stay here or go forward. Finding your way, if you were leaning forward, to that upright position. If you're holding something, let go with the low arm. If you're holding something, release it and you can set it off to the side. And here we are. You're going to lean back and offload the legs. So this is upward dog, and if upward dog doesn't suit you, you can do the table pose. You can stay on your blanket or whatever you have, or you can go down on the mat. Either one's fine. I'm going to turn sideways because you'll be able to see the position. So again, this is an opening, staying with our theme of being open. So I'm turning sideways. You see I'm sitting on this blanket. My feet are parallel, not together, but the toes are pointing forward. And then my fingers point forward, and just point of information. Traditionally, when you lean on the hands, the fingers point the same way as your toes. I know this doesn't work for everybody, and I don't want to argue about it. But the alternative to being on a wrist flexion is to be on knuckles with your thumbs forward. Now, you can't have big diamond rings on your hands, so you have to turn them inside out. And either you will straighten the elbows and lift the chest, so this is our heart opener, or with the palms here. The next element would be to raise the hips up. So for table pose, you can look down your thighs and assess, how flat is that table becoming? You don't have to drop the head back. You can look outward, you can look upward, wherever that visual makes you comfortable. And then when you come down, we'll come out of the pose and we'll rest our hands. For those who can do traditional upward dog, upward facing dog, upward facing plank, not dog, eastern plank or upward facing plank. My ankles are together, my toes will stretch toward the floor, my hands will be the same position, and maybe I'd just do this. And if I wanted to elevate the hips while squeezing the legs together, I'd lift the hips, looking outward or looking upward, or you're welcome to drop the head back. So those are your two choices, milk or juice, beer or wine, hot tea or cold tea. So we'll do this 3 times. Feel free to mix and match. If you want to do one variation and then switch, and if you just need to wait, that's okay. So assume the position of choice. Spread the fingers, slide the hands. Now you may need to come out of it because either your hands are too far back, you'll feel that in the shoulders in a negative way, or they may be too close and you can't elevate. So there really is a good alignment. And I squeeze the legs, inhale, lift the chest. This is fine to stay here, and then otherwise lift the hips. Ankles are squeezing together in the upward plank. Now gently release down, watch where your neck is as you come off the hands. It's okay to bend the knees just to get off of them. Maybe a little abracadabra with the hands. So I think for my second one, I'll do the table pose just to demonstrate, but you could do all one or all of the other. Place the feet mindfully. Either the feet are extended and together, or the feet are parallel and apart. Slide back onto the hands. Inhale, lift. Maybe that's good enough. Exhale, elevate. If you're in the table pose, your toes have to be down. That'll tell you you're distributing your weight well. Slowly releasing the hips, letting the head naturally come back. We come out of the pose. A little abracadabra on the hands. And so we have one more to do. You know, things come in 3s. So you can do the upward plank, the table pose. If your wrists are getting funny, you can do the knuckles. I'll show that. So you place your feet either extended or bent. You slide the palms back, and if you're going to knuckles, you see my thumbs are pointing forward. As you inhale, lift the chest. Good enough, stay here. Exhale, elevate the hips. Commit to your breath. Slowly letting your hips release. I'm going to come off this blanket because I'm going to go and lay onto my back for a little bit of work concentrated to my core. How'd it go? Okay. You did your best, right? So we always have to consider in our core the appropriateness of each variation. Yoga is really nice in that it moves slow. It's not just banging out crunches. So you have the time to ascertain before you end up in trouble. Some people with a bit of osteoporosis have to be careful when they flex into their spine. I'm not saying you're gonna break anything, but why take a chance? So you may minimize that or focus more on one end and the other. So what we're doing, we've done before, and it does focus on one end going up and down, your shoulders, and then the other end, your hips going up and down. And we do it a bunch of times, and then we do it fewer and fewer, and the next thing you know, you lift your shoulders and your hips and you squeeze together and go down, shoulders, hip together, and by that time, you're about done. So I will do these with you, so I derive the benefits as well. I'm not there to see you in person, so really listen for the cues. Once you've done the first few in repetition of 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and singles, once we've done those repetitions, you should have the pattern. So the hand placement, again, can be laced or stacked hands, and the elbows are not back here, but they're also not forward pulling towards your knees. So it's more of a comfortable support for your neck and your head of where the hands are. So my elbows will be slightly out to the side. I can see them in my peripheral vision, just so you don't jack things around in your neck. All right, we're on our backs. Don't go to sleep. Hands are behind. For this one, your knees are up and your feet are down. Consider your feet, ouch, my knee. Consider your feet weights. So you can cross the legs if that's more comfortable, or you can just leave them together. In other words, when your hips come up, don't lift your feet, keep them down here, and when you lift your hips, you'll be lifting the weight of your feet. Makes sense, right? So it'll be shoulders for 10 times, and then hips 10 times. I go fast, but I don't speed. Rest your head in your hands, and let's begin. Raising and lowering your chest. Two more times. Now leave the head down and lift your hips. 10. Try and stop them when they come in. Two more. Now leave your hips down and lift your shoulders 8 times. Now the head stays down, the hips come up 8 times. Remember, they stop coming in. Okay, now we're at 6s, shoulders up 6. Head stays down, hips go up 6. Now I'm at 4s, shoulders up, 4. Now my hips do 4. Now we're at 2, I'll count. Shoulders up and down, again, up and down. Now the hips, again. One shoulder up and down, one hip up and down, one shoulder up and down. And now listen carefully, lift your shoulders, stay up, hips up, squeeze together, go down. Lift your shoulders, lift your hips, squeeze together, go down. Lift your shoulders, lift your hips, squeeze together. 2 more, lift your shoulders, lift your hips, squeeze together. Last time, lift your shoulders, lift your hips, squeeze together. We're done. to bridge pose. Feet come down, can you tickle? Now, if you have a block or a pillow and want to stick it and make it more restorative, otherwise press into the pelvis. Go where you need to for your bridge pose. Some people grab the hands, snug the shoulders, elevate the hips higher. Ooh. Unsnug the shoulders if you tucked them in and come down from your upper back, your middle back, and lower back. And then we go to a happy baby pose or inner thigh stretch. So as my feet come up, they're not together. I'll reach up and grab outside my feet. My thumb is about where my pinky toe is, and my hands wrap around the outside of my foot. Nod my chin as my head goes back down. My feet are apart, not together. And I apply a little pressure at my hands to move my knees toward the floor. Try and keep your tailbone down. There's a tendency for them to come up. If you wanted to go to a wide inner thigh stretch, opening into a straddle, feel free. Go ahead and bend the knees in, let go of the feet, hold on to the right leg, stretch your left leg out. Let it touch the floor and hug the other knee in. It may move more towards your shoulder, that's okay. Go ahead, release the leg that you're holding. Draw the other leg in. Snug it up. Both feet go out, crossing at the ankles, grabbing at your wrist with one hand. Kind of wiggle and squirm. Uncross the feet, uncross the hands, wiggle and squirm on the other side. And now we're going to move into our Shavasana. So depending on your space, and we've cooled down a bit, if you need to grab a blanket or put on some socks, go ahead and do that. If you want a pillow under your knees or under your head. If you want to lay on your side or lay on your belly. The idea is for you to get a little comfortable and do nothing. If you have a ponytail, sometimes taking that or your glasses off is also a good thing. So now we do nothing. We've just come to this moment, and we'll have a bit of reflection as we get situated to rest comfortably. And oftentimes when that body relaxes on the earth, the mind can just get rather busy. It does for me. That's called monkey mind. So this is a practice to try and find that indwelling quiet. I'll give you a few minutes to find it, because you may find it, and then if I bring you back too soon, you've gone on to something else. So you can use nature, you can use your breath, you can use whatever technique you know that helps kind of calm down that monkey mind. So you feel the weight of your body resting on the earth. Check that your jawline is not holding tension. You kind of have that duh look on your face. If you're laying on your back, you feel the presence of an openness in the front of your body as the back side of the body grounds down. If you're laying in another fashion, you just feel the pull of gravity keeping you connected onto the earth. Maybe you become aware of the beating of your heart, circulation. So you'll wait for the singing bowl to welcome you back and allow this time to be yours. And there with the singing bowl is your invitation to come on back in a gentle way, perhaps wiggling your fingers and toes, awakening the body, deepening that breath and feeling all that quiet just float around inside you, nurturing, calming things down. Feel free to stay in that position or roll onto your side if you'd rather, and open your mind to these thoughts. Today, something from Indira Gandhi. And she said, "You can't shake hands with a clenched fist." We sometimes have to act polite towards a person that we dislike or who has hurt us, so we put on a fake smile and do what we need to do to make things okay. Instead of putting on a fake smile, though, what if we tried smiling for real? Is there something we might like about this person if given a chance? Do we really have a good reason to dislike the person in the first place? Perhaps. Maybe we won't become great friends, but we'll never know unless we open ourselves to that possibility. Thought then for us today, the next time I encounter someone I don't particularly like, I will be genuinely interested in what the person thinks and says, and perhaps this may show me a new side to the person. Don't know. Possible. With that said, bring yourself up to a seated position. So as you come to sit mindfully aware, as I remind us all the time of our bandhas and our breath, and that lifted spine and the crown chakra connecting to the greater whatever. And today we were opening our hips, opening our shoulders, maybe opening our minds, I don't know. As you open the arms now to the sides of your body and raise them overhead and join the palms together, and then with the hands at the heart, as always, the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. I wish you a good and productive rest of your day. See you soon. Namaste.